Well, we just got swept. And the funny thing is, just last week on the show, what was I telling you was so important for the Indians to do, and they couldn't follow through with it. And the Cavaliers have a big decision to make this Thursday night as the 2014 NBA Draft unfolds. Hi everybody and welcome to the Cleveland Sports Report. I am your host Nick Brolis. Thank you for joining me for this edition of the Cleveland Sports Report. At the bottom of your screen you can see my Twitter handle @mbrolis and my email as well, nickbrolis8404 @yahoo.com. Let's get started off right now, due to time constraints obviously. And I was going to start off talking about the NBA and the Cavs because there's so much stuff going on. Of course, with the draft coming up this Thursday, as I just mentioned to you. But last week on CSR, I had told you that the Indians were entering a homestand in which they had 4 games with the Angels, which one of them got postponed due to rain. And then they had a very possible pivotal 3-game weekend series with the Detroit Tigers coming to town, in which they might be able, if they beat Detroit all 3 games, could possibly be sitting in first place. Well, if you watched the Indians series both with the Angels and the Tigers, it didn't work out, and as a result, the Indians are now 37-39 entering this upcoming week in which they go back out on the road. They have a 2-game series starting Tuesday against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then a 3-game series which they have 2 days off this week, which they need them. I think we all would agree with that. They have a 3-game series with the Seattle Mariners. So, if I'm the Indians, they have got to go out there on this road trip and at least win 3 games, because the AL Central is the tightest division in baseball right now. And I'm looking at these standings. Still, the last place Chicago White Sox are only 7 games out. Only 7 games out. Now, some of you may think that's a pretty good amount. No, it's not. 7 games is nothing. And when I look at these standings, this is exactly what baseball needed to have. Parity. And they have plenty of it. These races are so tight right now, it's fascinating. And I told you guys last week on the show that as much as I'd love to see the Indians in first place, I'm loving the fact that this division in particular is so close. So, with that being said, thank you all for joining me for this edition of the Cleveland Sports Report. The first 2 games of the Detroit series were very close. Last night's game went into extra innings. But the 3rd game today on Sunday wasn't even close. Terrible, terrible, terrible outing for the Indians. And I'm listening to Tom Hamilton on the radio, and he has said it best for a couple weeks now. This team cannot afford to have multiple errors in a game. They just can't, because we don't have the offensive firepower to be down by 3 runs or less. 3 runs or more in a game. You just can't. So, the Indians have really got to play clean baseball to be able to compete and stay competitive in each game. So, that's with that. Now, they have a very winnable couple of series coming up here against the Diamondbacks and the Mariners, but it's on the road, and we all know that the Indians are not a good team on the road. So, that is with baseball. Now, as it pertains to the Cavs, they hired their 20th head coach in team history, 55-year-old David Blatt, the former Maccabi head coach, who compiled a record of 93-14 while over there overseas. It's a 3-year deal with a 4th-year option. The contract itself could be worth a total of $20 million, depending on if he fulfills those 4 years. So we'll see what happens. Some of you are not happy about this the signing because he doesn't have any NBA experience. Well, you know what? I'm very happy that the Cavs went out of the box, so to speak. But I'm very happy the fact that they went with an offensive-minded coach. And I think that this is going to turn into a very fun team to watch. Now, with the draft coming up, yes, the Cavs have to make some very pivotal decisions here. I know that Joel Embiid was in, I think, last week to work out. He was very impressed, but as some of you may or may not know by now, he had to have foot surgery, so he's gone. He's not even being considered as number 1 overall pick. Then you have Jabari Parker and Andrew Wiggins. And from everything that I've read, some of my sources, which I only have one, I'm not going to reveal who it is, has told me that it's more likely that the Cavs are going to take Jabari Parker, which is the guy that I wanted the Cavs to take originally. So with that being said, Wiggins came in and was said to have a good workout, and Jabari Parker was in town on Friday, and he was also said to have a good workout, though his outside shooting was very questionable. So we'll see what happens. I hope they take Parker, but I'm fine with either or, obviously, as some of you may or may not know. Now, not just considering the draft, the NBA is getting very hot attention in terms of the trades because of the draft being so close. Obviously, the two hot names right now are Kevin Love of Minnesota and Carmelo Anthony, who has said he is opting out of his contract come July 1st. We haven't heard anything about Dwayne Wade yet. We haven't heard anything about LeBron James yet or Chris Bosh. And I'm really anxious to see what all three decide to do. Now, I've told you guys before, I think LeBron's coming back. Whether that happens, we shall see. Now, all three of those players said that they will let everybody know on June the 29th if they're going to decide to opt out or not. So, from what I've been reading, all these are according to BleacherReport.com. The possible scenarios for Kevin Love, the Celtics are wanting to go after him, which wouldn't shock me, but they got to figure out what they want to do with Rajon Rondo. Also, Kevin Love and Kevin Martin are rumored to go to the Warriors for David Lee and Klay Thompson. But the Warriors would also have to throw in a first-round pick. The Sixers are obviously interested in the Cavs' top pick and are willing to send them the number 3 and number 10 overall pick along with Thaddeus Young. I don't want anything to do with that draft pick. I mean, with that package deal. I want the Cavs to stay put at number 1 and go with that. So, Houston is also trying to go after Carmelo Anthony along with the Chicago Bulls. I'm really undecided as to what Carmelo Anthony is going to do. I'm just glad that he's not rumored to be coming to the Cavs. So, the NBA is in, like I just told you, it's very hot. The rumors are flying, and every single one of these rumors that I just threw out at you, they could be completely dissolved come Wednesday. That's what makes all this crazy. So we're going to see. And last but not least, to end this edition of the Cleveland Sports Report, the Browns start training camp July 26th. And remember, if you would like to attend training camp this year, you do have to register. I believe it's browns.com/training camp. And Family Day has been announced to be taking place at InfoCision Stadium in Akron, Saturday, August 2nd from 11:30 to 2. So if you want to see a little bit of a scrimmage with the Browns offense versus defense, it's free. Get out to InfoCision Stadium Saturday, August 2nd from 11:30 to 2 p.m. to see the Browns in a scrimmage. So, with that being said, I completely forgot to tell you guys about the Major League Baseball standings because I wanted to be able to make sure I remembered everything and covered it all. The American League East is as follows. The Blue Jays are in first place by a game and a half over Baltimore and the Yankees. The Blue Jays' record is 42-35, followed by the Orioles and the Yankees at 39-35. The Red Sox are at 35-41, followed by the Rays, who are at 31-46. AL Central, The Tigers are 2.5 games up on the Kansas City Royals by a record of 40-32, followed by the Royals are at 39-36. The Indians are at 37-39. The Twins at 36-38, and the White Sox in last place at 35-41. The West is as follows. The Oakland Athletics are at 47-29, followed by the Angels at 40-33. The Mariners at 40-36. The Rangers at 35-39, and the Houston Astros are at 33-44 in last place. Over in the National League, the NL East, the Nationals are in first place with a record of 39-35, a game and a half up on the Braves at 38-37, followed by the surprising Miami Marlins at 37-38, the Mets at 35-41, and the Philadelphia Phillies are 5 games out with a record of 34-40. The NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers are at 46-30 in first place, 5 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals with a record of 41-35. The Cincinnati Reds are at even 500, 8 games out at 37-37, followed by the Pirates at 37-38 and the Cubs at 31-42. And to finish off the standings, the NL West, the San Francisco Giants are at 45-30, 4 games ahead of the second place Dodgers at 42-35. The Colorado Rockies are in third place with a record of 34-40, and the Padres are at 32-44, and the Diamondbacks are in last place with a record of 32-47. So, with that being said, I thank all of you guys for tuning in to this, the 39th edition of the Cleveland Sports Report. My name is Nick Brolis, and again, please, tweet at me, at mbrolis, and email me, nickbrolis8404@yahoo.com. I'm finally starting to get some replies and responses back from you guys. Really do appreciate it. Disagree, agree, it doesn't matter. It's all fine. This is why I do this. So again, thank you for watching this edition of the Cleveland Sports Report.